Hey everybody, Ollie here for the weekly news recap for the 21st to the 27th of August, 2020. No, not 7. 2023. Okay. Anyway, let's get into it. So, this week, Gamescom has been running from the 23rd to the 27th of August. Gamescom is a primarily European focused games convention, although in recent years, especially with E3 kind of going out the window, it started to become a much bigger thing. Although it's still not really the place for new announced games. It's usually just to show off games that are going to be out later in the year around, the Christmas time market. Anyway, opening night live is this thing Jeff Keighley has been doing for the last 3 years, again, since E3 kind of went away. To kind of highlight games that are coming out soon. So to start off, we had Streets of Rogue 2. It kind of seems like a multiplayer GTA Rampage thing. Like the old GTAs, basically. Okay. Mandragora is a side-scrolling action RPG. It's got a little bit of blasphemous to it. Looks interesting. It's not going to be out for a good while, though. Lizfanga, the Time Shift Warrior, was shown off during the Game Awards, I think. It is, again, another isometric action RPG, but the deal is you can use previous iterations of yourself. So kind of like Super Time Force or some of the Ratchet & Clank future puzzles, where you do one thing and then rewind time, and then that thing keeps going. The ghost of your old run keeps going, and then you can do something else during that run, then rewind time, and then those two keep going, and so on. But they're merging that into like a combat scenario, which is kind of interesting. End Zone 2, I don't remember. Sounds like a football game, but I don't think it was. Anyway, Bulletstorm VR kind of shown off a bit more gameplay. Still very interested in playing it. And then Fae Farm was there to remind people that it exists, which is kind of a multiplayer Stardew Valley type deal. Seventh Guest VR, again, reminding people it's coming out soon. Showed off a bit more gameplay. 19th of October for its release date. Was that soon enough? In time for Halloween. Post Trauma was shown off again at the Game Awards. That looks really good. Looks like a kind of a Silent Hill / Control. So Silent Hill for like survival horror stuff, and then Control for its visuals. It looks really interesting. Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Realm of Ruin is a RTS, I think, for Warhammer. And then Delta Force Hawk Ops, which is actually like a resurrection of the Delta Force franchise, but not in any way meaningful. Like the Delta Force games were quite realistic, very tactical games, whereas Delta Force Hawk Ops is Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, whatever. Disappointing. Anyway, Homeworld 3 is what finished the pre-show. Homeworld is an RTS thing. And then the show proper, Jeff decided to show up then at that point. Starfield, again, it's coming out pretty soon. It's mostly there to just hype people up. It was a live action trailer. So no actual gameplay. There's some gameplay was shown off afterwards. There was a stage invasion as well. Bill Clinton wants to play GTA 6, apparently. Anyway, gone. Little Nightmares 3. Okay, first game announcement that already know about, in a way. So kind of interesting here. Little Nightmares 3, following on from Little Nightmares 2, as you might imagine. YouTube decides to actually load in. This is not being developed by Tarsier Studios. It's being developed by Supermassive Games, which is interesting change. One, Supermassive Games, as it says there, are kind of busy. There's like their Dark Pictures games have not come out yet. There hasn't been one this year, which is odd. I'd have expected one by now. Certainly an announcement or a release date or something for their next one. But I guess they've been working on this in the meantime. Little Nightmares 3 is, again, two-player, Little Nightmares 3 has two characters, like Little Nightmares 2. However, Little Nightmares 2 was not multiplayer. It wasn't co-op. One of the characters was controlled by the computer, by the PlayStation, by the whatever, the console, what have you, NPC. Whereas this time around, both characters are fully controllable by separate players. Again, not clear if it is couch co-op or if it is online. Sometimes that needs to be clarified these days. Anyway, It also seems like they're going back to maybe the first game with the mirror. So the cracked mirror is something that happens at the end of the very first game, and is somewhat related to powers and such. I never finished the second game, so I'm not sure if they ever go back to that. But anyway, that's Little Nightmares 3 coming out next year at some point. Black Myth Wukong, again, mostly to remind people it exists. There hasn't been any update or gameplay or anything, any news from the game for quite a while. So this is like the first news in a year, I think, about the game. Black Myth Wukong tells us is like a retelling of Journey to the West, which is like a Chinese philosopher tale about the Monkey King, kind of what like the original Dragon Ball is based off of. This is built as more of a Souls-like, excuse me, Souls-like action RPG type thing. It continues to look really good. Like when it was first shown off, it looked amazing. It still looks really good. We are playing the Monkey King. Get to some gameplay sections. Creepy monsters. Don't want to fight that thing. Whatever the hell it is. I don't know. I don't know what I was looking at, but I don't want. I don't really want to fight it. Oh, that's a lot of legs. Okay. Anyway, yes. You can see certainly the Soulsy influences. It is considerably faster paced. It's a bit more of a Neo type thing. Yeah, looking good still, but no release date. So we still don't really know what the whole deal with that game is. Killing Floor 3. Gone. Moving on. Sorry, Killing Floor fans. The 4 of you that are out there. Age of Empires 4 Anniversary Edition. Going to be out on Xbox. I think it's actually out on Xbox now. Check that out. Crimson Desert, another game that we have heard nothing about for a couple of years, a year at least. So Crimson Desert is from Pearl Abyss. Pearl Abyss probably best known for Black Desert Online right now, whereas this is Crimson Desert, very different. Different color and everything. Black Desert Online, as the name would suggest, is a multiplayer MMO type thing. Crimson Desert is, I believe, single player. It needs to be confirmed, but everything I've read, outlets are all saying single player. But that hasn't actually been confirmed by the developer, but it sure looks like it's going to be a single player game. Anyway, yeah, looks nuts. Looks really, really good. I'd like to play it right now, please. Wow, there's even horse dressage options and everything. Yeah, there's some nuts stuff happening there. The camera angle stuff in the combat, I hope that's not actually in-game, because that's going to get confusing. But there's a lot of things showing up here that are, pretty much staples of action adventure style RPGs, doing quests that aren't particularly helpful, carrying sheep about the place. But there's so much interactivity. There's I'm just wondering how much of this is actually in game and how much of this is just done for the trailer. There's a lot of Dragon's Dogma to it, is what I will say. That's the feeling I get from it, and that is not a bad thing. Dragon's Dogma is a very good game. Janky as shit, but it's a very good game. And you can pet the dog, isn't that great? And pick up the cat, and the cat purrs. It's fantastic. And now we are doing Pied Piper with the rat, and we can go to sleep in a hay and hang about in a hot air balloon and jump into interdimensional space. Okay, not sure. I didn't think the game was going to go there. Anyway, that's only half of the trailer. I would suggest you watch the rest of it because there's some nut stuff happening there. Anyway, again, don't know when it's coming out. Payday 3, more Payday. They haven't got paid enough. They're still trying to get paid, I guess. Assassin's Creed Mirage, it's coming out soon. Just reminder trailer. Tekken 8 to show off their single player mode, Arcade Quest, which is not dissimilar to Street Fighter 6's World's Warrior mode, whatever it's called. The deal with this one is that you are actually embodying the game scene, like the literal video game. You go from different arcades to play against other players, kind of thing. Other single player NPC players, not multiplayer stuff. Yeah, it's an interesting take on it. Sure, why not? After we got this extended look, I decided to magnify extended because fucking hell, this went on forever. Like 20 minutes or something. I think it was only 10 minutes, but it sure felt like longer than that. Modern Warfare 3, yeah, it's more of that. Whatever, it's out in November. Moving on. Nightingale. Nightingale is this kind of survival thing, like Valheim, but like Victorian era England kind of look to it. You jump about to different lands and different planets and dimensions and what have you, so you're not going to be stuck with just the Victorian era kind of things. Early access, end of February next year. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I am going to click on this. There's a lot of things to get through, which is why I am skipping over some trailers ordinarily I would show. I don't know if this is multiplayer or not, because I'm pretty sure the Grand Blue Fantasy games were like mini MMOs, kind of. It's like they were MMOs but only hung around for like 2 or 3 years, kind of thing. I guess it's just why they don't typically leave Japan, China, that kind of area. I think this is a single player game. I don't know. It looks good. You know, it does give me like the Tales games vibes. I have not played any Grand Blue game. It's entirely possible Grand Blue Fantasy is, predates the Tales games. I don't think so, but it might. And yeah, I love me some anime JRPG nonsense. They're fun. This looks like it's a real-time thing as well, which would be a nice change. Again, I just want clarity that it's not a mini multiplayer thing that some of the Grand Blue games are, and it's not like a gacha thing that also some of the Grand Blue fantasy games are. We'll see, I guess, is my point. Anyway, that is 1st of February next year, exclusively to PlayStation by the looks of things. The fact that it's exclusive would probably suggest it's not an MMO type thing. Immortals of Avium had a trailer. It's already out. Check it out if you want. It is okay. From what the reviews are saying, it's fine. It's fine. Zenless Zone Zero is the next game from the Hoyoverse people. It is real-time action type thing. So not like Honkai Star Rail, which is their newest game currently that is actually released. Honkai Star Rail is turn-based. And it looks like it's a lot faster paced than Genshin Impact, which is also a real-time thing, but the combat in that is much slower, probably to deal with some of its online functionality. Zenless Zone Zero is a sort of near future cyberpunk type thing. Again, it's like they're kind of trying to hit all of the fantasies. The next one they'll have is post-apocalypse, and then that'll be it. they'll have done the 4 big ones at that point. Genshin Impact is your medieval fantasy style thing. Honkai Star Rail is space exploration, super future stuff. Zenless Zone Zero, cyberpunk type deal. And yeah, if they make another one, I think, what's left? It's like post-apocalypse. That's kind of it. That's what they've got left. Anyway, yeah, it continues to look interesting. It's probably going to be a gacha thing, much like Honkai and Genshin Impact, so we'll see. Also, this guy is all over the internet for perverted reasons. Anyway, moving on. They showed off their other 2 games. Honkai is going to be on PlayStation soon, eventually. Genshin Impact continues to get enormous. There's a new area. That's like 6 areas now. Is it 6? Lindblom, first one. Chinese one, I forget the name of it. Then there was the Japanese one. Then there was kind of rainforest one, and now there's a new 5. Fontaine, which is like a water theme park looking thing. Anyway, Lords of the Fallen, again, it's coming out soon, 13th of October. Moving on. Sonic Superstars continues to look pretty good. Again, also coming out soon, 17th of October. Sonic Frontiers is getting DLC at the end of September. Not sure if it looks like it follows on directly from the story. The First Descendant is a third-person Destiny deal. It's going to run a beta at the end of September. Under the Waves, again, to remind you, it's coming out soon. It's at the end of this month, next week, 29th of August. Fort Solis is already out. Again, it is okay. Expeditions, a Mud Runner game, is one of those truck simulator, bus simulator type games, except it's expeditions. It's meant to be like, we're going to take this thing off-road and go, I don't know, expedite things. I don't think that's what they mean. It's just like, fit out your tires so they can handle uphill but muddy areas and, keep things clean and keep your components, stuff, what have you, I guess. It appeals to a certain type of person. Out next year. The Crew Motorfest car game, don't care. Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, again showing off some of the stuff that will be available to you at the end of September of this year. Stormgate, real-time strategy. So I fell asleep. Sorry, I just don't like. I'm not interested in real-time strategy. I'm sorry. I know it's having a bit of a renaissance right now, but it is not a genre that interests me. Lost Epoch has a new character class. Lost Epoch is a Diablo clone. Marvel Snap is now out on Steam. Knock yourself out. Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon out on Friday. It's good. Apparently, I haven't played it, but the reviews say, yeah, it's good. Good game. Warhaven coming to Steam at the end of next month, 21st of September. It's like For Honor, but free and bigger, effectively. Mortal Kombat 1 showed off a bit more story stuff. Sindel is now head of Outworld instead of Shao Kahn. So they're continuing to sort of subvert the original story and make different changes for this new branch or this new dimension. Ara History Untold is Civ with a bit more turn-based strategy added on top of it. Diablo 4 is getting another season before the season they're currently running is even finished yet. In October, somebody needs to tell them. Somebody needs to sit down, video game executives, right, and remind them how long a season is. Season is 3 months. It is not 1 month or 5 weeks or whatever Fortnite runs for. 3 months. That's how long it should be. Anyway, Dustborn, a single-player narrative-focused game. I don't remember this, to be honest. It looked like it was kind of a family road trip thing, but it had some kind of combat stuff to it. It's sort of, jokey, irreverent humor kind of thing to it. Thank Goodness You're Here was a kind of interesting game. Now, you're not really going to get the best part of this trailer, which is the song that is played. There's a hilarious theme tune that's played over the whole thing, but it is very Northern England humor to it, very funny. That may or may not come across to a more international audience, but I found it quite funny. It seems to be you play this guy in a sort of Untitled Goose Game kind of thing. You just go around the sandbox causing problems for people. I don't know. We need to know a little bit more about the game, but that seems to be what the deal is with this. Anyway. And then to finish off, Alan Wake 2 coming out end of next month. Showed off some of the live action segments. So when you go to this other world, the game plays out in live action. Cutscenes, effectively. Yeah, okay. There's a fair amount of live action in the original Alan Wake. Not what I meant to do. There's a fair amount of live action stuff in the original Alan Wake, which is meant to highlight this kind of otherworld, spooky stuff going on. So the fact that when you actually go to that other world, which I don't think you could do in Alan Wake 1, I never finished it, so I don't think you could actually go there, but it seems you can go there in Alan Wake 2. Okay, anyway, moving on. That was not the only show done during Gamescom. There was also Games Radar's Future Game show that they do at some of the bigger events. The last one they did, I think, was at the Game Awards. They're doing one now at Gamescom as well. So the Future Games show tends to highlight games coming out in the distant future, some stage down the line. So Stop Dead. This is like an announcement. Very first time we're seeing this game, as far as I'm aware, at least. I haven't seen it before. So Stop Dead is effectively a speedrunner FPS. So the idea behind it is not unlike the Speed film. Once you hit 50 miles an hour, you can't slow down. Stop Dead is if you stop, you die. Basically, you need to keep moving. If you stop at any point, you just die. So it's constantly moving, picking up things, throwing things at people, trying to get through these things as fast as possible. So there's a bit of a neon white thing in that neon white was meant to be like a speed running game for people who don't do speed running. Like, this is kind of meant to be somewhat the same thing. It's like to make things a little bit easier for people who don't typically do speed running type stuff, to just build it into the game mechanics themselves. So that's kind of the deal with Stop Dead. It has a demo, I believe, right now, if you are interested in that kind of thing. Yep, there is a demo of Stop Dead available right now. Oh, it's actually out soon. I always thought the Future Game Show was like, these games aren't going to be out for ages. It's actually going to be out pretty soon, October. Outrage, 32-player brawler, battle royale type thing. Streets of Rogue 2 showing off again, even though it was at opening night live. But it's still the same game. It's still GTA nonsense, mayhem, multiplayer stuff. Soul Slinger, the Envoy of Death, is a Wild West FPS that looks jank. Looks very, very jank. Early access, though, at some point this year. There is a demo available on Steam. You could say there's a demo available on Steam for a lot of these things, actually. Eternights just came by to remind people that it's coming out soon. It's actually coming out even sooner than you thought. Originally, it was going to be out in September 21st. It is now instead coming out on the 12th. So a full week and a bit earlier. Blasphemous 2, which is already out, August 24th. Good. Apparently. Very good. Again, I haven't played it. There's too many games coming out, and I'm playing too many as it is. But yeah, apparently it's good. Parcel Core is a satirical bicycle messenger simulator game. Now, does that sound like a good thing? Does that sound like the kind of game you want to play? And when I read it, I was like, I don't want to play that. That doesn't sound like something I would want to play. That sounds like one of those, Eurobus simulator things. But no, this actually looks really good. This is like parkour, effectively. Or first-person bicycle parkour. I don't think it's actually first-person. Let's see if we could skip through the live action stuff. It is very funny, but you're obviously not going to get most of it because it's audio. It's not first person. I don't know why I thought it was. But yeah, it's kind of like, Tony Hawk or Jet Set Radio or anything like that, except you're on a bike and there's all sorts of, cool tricks and stuff you can pull. He has to sign his NDA, which is, again, it's actually very funny. And I'm pretty sure the guy in the bike getup is Irish. He certainly sounds like it. But yeah, that does look like the kind of game I want to play, actually. This despite what it sounded like, bicycle messenger simulator. Sounds like effectively Paperboy, but with more fucking controls. Yeah, I do want to play that. The Gap, which is not a game about the clothing shop, is actually a memory diving I can talk. Memory diving psychological thriller coming out this fall or autumn for everybody else. I was going to show the trailer, but the trailer doesn't actually show you very much without any audio. But yeah, check it out. It looks, it's got a bit Silent Hill too. RoboCop Rogue City, coming soon to consoles and what have you. PC and such. This was just more story stuff for RoboCop, so it seems like some of the game's storyline will revolve around RoboCop's human side kind of going away and him becoming more robotic over time, and that being a bad thing. I would think the police force would be super thrilled that he becomes more robotic, but apparently they're not happy about that for some reason. I don't know. Citation needed. But some of this trailer is about a psychiatrist talking to RoboCop and trying to get like the more human side and diving back into his memories and what it actually feels like to be a robot kind of thing. What's not highlighted in this trailer though is that the release date has slipped. It was going to be next month, and I believe the game is now November at some point instead. Some returning characters shown off. Some different gameplay, different guns. Why you wouldn't just keep using his ridiculous handgun, I don't know. And there's, of course, Ed 209. 2 Ed 209s. And they still can't go downstairs. Hang on. I missed this when I watched it the first time. The Ed 209 closest to... Okay, so the Ed 209 closest to the camera, right? It looks like it falls down the stairs. It does. It falls down the stairs. Brilliant. Okay. Anyway. RoboCop. It's not pointed out in the trailer, but yeah, it is. The release date has slipped. Gangs of Sherwood is co-op action adventure, 4-player thing. It doesn't look like it's a free-to-play thing. It looks like it's its own, self-contained story you can go through and co-op with up to 3 friends. If that's what it sticks with, cool. I might actually even be interested in playing it. Star Trucker, again, another game that I didn't think I'd have any interest in because it is, again, Eurobus simulator but space. I kind of want to play it. I don't know. There's something about it that it just interests me. Guess I'm finally getting into my Euro truck phase. But yeah, you're like long haul trucker type thing, but space, effectively. Space truck. Got to keep your space truck ship shape. Go out into the void of space and fix things if you need to. Hang out in weighing stations in space. Is that a thing? I don't know. I wouldn't think I wouldn't think you'd have to refuel. I wouldn't think they would allow somebody to refuel themselves, in space, because you just have fuel leaking all over the place in space. London. Anyway, I don't know. It looks interesting. This kind of management stuff. I think it's literally because it's in space is what's interesting me. Anyway, going backwards. Castlecraft. I don't remember it. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember what Castlecraft is. Fort building voxel mayhem simulator. I don't remember. Sprawl, hardcore cyberpunk shooter. Shadow dropped onto PC, so it's on Steam right now. If you want to check it out, I'll have more about that in the new releases section. Tavern Keeper, animated trailer reveal for Tavern Keeper, the next game from the Game Dev Tycoon guys. So it is like a cartoonish management game for like medieval taverns kind of thing. It looked kind of fun. Axolotl, a top-down isometric shooter made primarily for Melwen, friend of the channel Melwen. Axolotl looks a whole lot like Enter the Gungeon. Top-down isometric style shooter type thing. You play a very angry axolotl going around shooting people all the time, constantly, and bringing other axolotls with you to shoot people too. So, pixel art style, twin stick shooter situation. And you can also help other axolotls. And then I don't know what goes on at this part. I don't think I want to know what goes on at this part. Sure looks like you kill all of those axolotls. So I don't think I'm on board for that part. Anyway, that is out soon, I think. September 14th. Pretty soon. Twin Sails interactive montage. I don't remember it. Showed off like 3 games very quickly. And I don't know, too fast because I don't remember any of them. Aloft is a survival management type thing. You are in a flying series of islands that you need to manage to keep aloft, name would suggest, and also manage the people on it and that kind of thing. The Last Faith. The Last Faith is Bloodborne. It's 2D Bloodborne. 2D pixel art Bloodborne, effectively. Coming out pretty soon, and there is a beta demo available right now that I have downloaded. I just haven't gotten around to playing it yet. But yeah, look, it looks great. It looks really good, and I imagine it is extremely difficult. Still, Bloodborne. It's kind of weird because Bloodborne has a lot of Castlevania to it, and they've kind of just gone backwards with that. It's just Castlevania with a Bloodborne skin on it, effectively. It's a Wrap. Okay, It's a Wrap is kind of an interesting puzzle game. So the idea with It's a Wrap is you are playing a film director, and you are in the process of editing a film to kind of help your character complete whatever the puzzle is. So they have a scenario they need to get through, and you move scenes around or effects and that kind of thing to make it so that they can actually complete the puzzle. It's kind of interesting. It's a different way of doing it. You're moving the puzzle more than you're moving the character themselves. The character is just going to do their thing. You might need to start them at a different point, or move different sound effects around, move different layers around to make it work. The art is a little flash looking. There's a little bit of action script to it, which I'm not a big fan of, but I'm kind of hoping that's just the trailer. That was a lot. That's a lot of awards, so you can't say no exactly. But yeah, I don't know. It looks interesting. We'll see how it plays out. I think that's out now. It's out right now. If we want to check it out. I don't know, why do I keep thinking Future Game Show is like games from miles away, and like so many of them are actually already out. Underlab, Social Deception, so Among Us, or the Werewolf game, if anyone's played it, party game. VR Showcase, they showed off a couple of VR games. Hellsweeper VR is like a action game where you defy twisted souls with a trifecta of pure pain, swords, guns, and magic. It's a first-person shootery type thing set in hell. Out in September at some point. The Pirate Queen is a VR puzzle adventure thing based on the tales of the Pirate Queen, Chinese pirate. Next year at some point. Quest and Steam, not PlayStation. Vertigo 2 is coming to PlayStation VR 2 at the end of October. I think it's already out on other VR platforms and is apparently very good. Islanders, the VR edition, is a city builder. It's going to be out at the end of September. And then Tin Hearts is coming to PlayStation VR 2 and PC VR. Tin Hearts is Lemmings, effectively, with toy soldiers instead of lemmings. Davago is meant to be like a portmanteau of David and Goliath. Davago, or Davaga, I guess. The idea is that it's an asymmetric multiplayer thing. 4 players are playing on the PC or on the console or whatever. Normally, third person, moving your guy around as you typically do. And then 1 player is Goliath. They play in VR. They're like a giant thing that's trying to swat players out of the sky and squash them and pick them up and hurl them into the space and that kind of thing. So you've got 1 player in VR who's looming over everybody else, and the 4 other players who are trying to take them down. David and Goliath style, except there's 4 Davids, which seems a bit unfair considering 1 David could beat Goliath, but what have you. Park Beyond is getting DLC. Park Beyond is Roller Coaster Tycoon, or a theme park game. Tiny Glade. Don't remember you. Laid back sandbox castle builder. Okay. Pacific Drive got a story trailer, but still no release date for it. So, reminder about Pacific Drive: it is a car game, but it's not a racing game, which is important. It's a car survival type thing. Your character, whoever they are, have breached this exclusion zone that's trying to keep a bunch of anomalies from spreading to the rest of the country/planet. Why you've decided to do this, I don't know. It's not brought up in the story. Kind of what is brought up in the story is that there are people out there who are helping you but not happy that they have to help you because you shouldn't be here. They've been kind of not forgotten about exactly, but they've been walled in with the anomalies, just sort of keep an eye on them, but they're also not allowed to leave. So they're all kind of jaded and kind of pissed off that they have to be here at all, then also really annoyed that you are now here complicating things. But they are going to help you. And the idea is you need to figure out something about these anomalies while in your car, and I think your car gains some kind of awareness or sentience or something. They keep talking about how the car has changed or something like that. It must come into contact with an anomaly at some point. But it's like a survival thing. Your car gradually gets fucked up as you're driving through. You need to keep it in shape and then also upgrade it so it can go into deeper zones, etc., that kind of thing. Looks interesting. I'm not typically into survival games, but it's an interesting take on it, I guess, which is kind of more what I'm going for. Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Realms of Ruin, we talked about it at Opening Night Live. Not even, maybe 20 minutes ago at this point. Aviotic Factor is a multiplayer survival game, I think. A multiplayer survival game where you try and escape a doomed facility with your friends. So you're like scientists in a secret base where things go wrong and you need to escape. But if you played any game with that scenario, they don't escape typically. Phantom Spark kind of got a F-Zero Wipeout vibe to it. Once to play section was just a quick blast of a couple of different games that all have demos that you can try out now. Super Adventure Hand, Corsair's Legacy, After Dream, Laudel Knot, Clem, Night Loops, Airship Kingdoms Adrift, and Luna Abyss. Out of all of those, give Luna Abyss. That was a lot of fun. We played it during Steam Next Fest. As for the rest of them, I haven't played them. Not sure. They might be good. They might not be good. Clem looks interesting. And After Dream also looks interesting. Europa. Peaceful Ghibli-esque adventure game where you glide around an interstellar paradise. Okay. Like Chia, but Ghibli? Warframe. More Warframe. More Warframe is happening. TennoCon, which I think is the Warframe con. The game is so big at this point, it has its own con. Will be... It's already kicking off. It's already happened. Oh well, you missed it. Sorry. Wild Country, a card battler and a city builder. Okay, you've merged two games I don't like. Moving on. Raven's Watch is already in Steam Early Access, and it's having a decent enough update with some new characters and a new area, I think. Scorn is coming to PlayStation at the beginning of October, which means it'll then be on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Still not on Switch. I find it unlikely Nintendo would ever okay Scorn for Switch. PC Game Pass had a thing where it just showed off, hey, here's all the games you can get on Game Pass, including Starfield. Symphonia. Musical puzzle platformer. That sounds like something why don't I remember it? Dome King Cabbage. Visual novel set in the world of monster collecting RPG. So it's a visual novel set in not Pokemon. Definitely not Pokemon. I am skipping through a lot of these because we still have a fair bit of stuff to go through, so skipping through a few of these. Astronomo is CodeSync's next puzzle platformer. CodeSync do a lot of puzzle platformer type things. Get ready to build cute cosmic contraptions with your friends. No thanks. Don't have friends. It's not really going to work out then, is it? Hexen Hunters is a tactical RPG set in the 18th century. I'm not sure if it's multiplayer. So they're showing off 4 characters, and the 4 characters appear to all move together. So it's either like a party-based thing, and you swap between them all if you want to. Tactical action RPG. It doesn't look like it's turn-based, so I don't know. Freedom Games dropped by to again show off a bunch of their games way too fast. So I don't remember any of them. It's kind of a problem. Vengeance of Mr. Peppermint, Humanit, Tabernacle, Sugar Shack, Aster Rogues, and Dust Fleet. No, none of them. Vengeance of Mr. Peppermint does ring a bell. I don't quite remember it. Wayfinder is in early access. This is mostly just to remind you that it's there. And it's also in PlayStation early access, which is apparently a thing now. I don't know how I feel about that. Wayfinder and Phasmophobia are also going to be in PlayStation early access. Ad Infinitum dropped by to remind people it's going to be out soon, 14th of September. Hellskate. Alright, Hellskate is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater meets Hades. Which is... okay, how are you making that work? So, Hellskate, we're making it work like this, basically. So, it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you do tricks and stuff. The tricks build up... they build up attack power, effectively. So the more tricks you pull off, the more varied they are. You build up crits, you build up like attack damage and what have you. And then when you finally unleash the attack, it does the accumulated damage that you've built up. So that's kind of the deal. You do a bunch of tricks and then you hit somebody. The more tricks you do before you hit them, the harder you hit them. And you can combo them on top of that as well. So there's like a kind of, you're swapping between the two. You do your tricks as you're getting your way up to the enemy, and then you hit them really hard. And then you do the same thing to the next guy and so on. The Hades part isn't just that the colorful art style and that it's set in hell or whatever like that. It's also a roguelike, so if you die, you start over. Numbers go up, as they say. Yeah, this is interesting. Again, it's a different way to do combat. It's kind of, that's kind of what I'm here for. Show me something new. Deathground, Dino Survival Horror with your buddies. I think it's a multiplayer thing. At least they show off multiple characters moving together. Suggests multiplayer. Now, this trailer I don't think is indicative of actual gameplay. I think this is a bit, glossed up for big show. But the idea is Dino Crisis, but you don't have any guns. The dinos are absolutely going to annihilate you. It's even got the Alien Isolation movement tracker thing. But yeah, as you can see, there were multiple people. There's multiple people here, so it's not clear if it's a multiplayer thing. Oh, you do have guns. Never mind. What the fuck's a revolver gonna do to a T-Rex? Anyway, Yeah, dinos. Dinos kicking your ass easily, basically. So Dino Crisis, which you're probably nowhere near as accomplished. No, I don't believe there's a release date or anything like that about it. Coming soon. Yeah, coming soon. And then Tormented Souls 2 is what finished the feature game show. So Tormented Souls OG was a nice throwback to older survival horror games, like the original Resident Evils, Silent Hills, what have you. Tormented Souls 2, this is just a tone setting trailer. You appear, sorry, tired. You appear to be playing the same protagonist from the original game, so it seems like they did not escape their nightmare. This trailer doesn't really show off any gameplay, it's more just a tone setting thing. But it does appear that you're playing the original character. How long you'll be playing them for, I don't know. Are you going to be playing them for the entirety, or as this trailer suggests, do they get killed really quickly and you're actually playing somebody else instead? Who knows? And sliced in half. Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, that was the Future Game Show. Some interesting things there. Aside from the shows, a bunch of other games were announced or updates given and stuff like that. So we'll get into those now. Broken Sword Parzival Stone is going to be Broken Sword 6, basically. That series has been kind of sporadically releasing games. You know, Broken Sword 5, something Serpent's Curse, I think. I forget what it's called. It was like a Vita game. And then it came out on console with like a remastery type thing. But that was ages ago. Got to be like 10 years at this point or something. Anyway, new one. As well as this new Broken Sword, they are also remastering the original Broken Sword, The Shadow of the Templars Reforged. Calling it. This trailer kind of very barely kind of talks about the plot of their new game, and actually kind of talks a lot more about the original game. So they skip ahead, kind of show off some of the new, not the new art, but the remastered art for the original game. Anyway, those are out soon. Guess. 2024 for the enhanced classic, and then I don't know, at some point Parzival Stone will be out. And we had Night Dive Studios is remastering, some more remasters. Night Dive Studios is going to remaster Star Wars Dark Forces 2. So Dark Forces 2 is a Star Wars game that's running off the Doom engine. Night Dive Studios have a lot of pedigree, we'll say, in remastering games. Remastering old PC games running off the Doom engine or the Unreal engine in some places. It's got somewhat live action footage. But yeah, we skip to the actual gameplay. So yeah, it's Doom. It's Doom as fuck, right? Or Wolfenstein as fuck. Remastered cutscenes and such. No jaggy edges. Art style, bringing smooth edges to our art. The Dark Forces 2 is Kyle Katarn. I believe it's the first game. It's one of the first Star Wars games where you don't have a lightsaber, I think. I don't think Kyle Katarn gets his lightsaber. I think he ditches it in Dark Forces 1? Wait, is this just Dark... Oh, no, never mind. It's Dark Forces 1. So Star Forces 2, then he must get a lightsaber. And then throws it away. Anyway. Some stage soon. Jusant was shown off at the Game Awards. This is the next game by Don't Nod. These are the people who make Life is Strange, Vampire, lots of other things. Jusant is kind of like a mountain climbing game. Takes a little bit more, pitons and scrampons and whatever else they're called, all of that climbing shit. To like give yourself footholds and things like that. But you do also have some video game abilities to you as well. You've got things like super jumps, and you've got this thing on your back that can make things appear on the wall. But it's like a bit more involved platforming, effectively. But it does look really good. Yeah, I'm actually quite interested in playing it. It does have a little bit of a journey vibe to it as well. In this, like, you're just constantly climbing this mountain just to get to the top of it, I guess. Journey, there's just a mountain in the background that you're trying to get to at all times. No, and it's got some puzzle elements and murals to look at. It's just, I don't know. It has a lot of a big journey vibe for me. But yeah, you do have these things, like these things lift you up, which is obviously not something you can do in regular mountain climbing, or big tentacles growing across the wall, or freezing time to make things grow, and so on and so forth. Those aren't options. But yeah, I don't know. I think it looks good. It does have a release date. I forget what it is. I think it's October. I missed it. Yes, end of October. Literally Halloween when it comes out. Might suggest something about its mountain climbing. Its mountain climbing is very scary. The Invincible is this kind of 60s pop space horror thing. I think horror thriller is probably a bit more accurate. But yeah, it'll be out soon. I don't think it's September. I think it's October. But yeah, it's got a bit of Firewatch to it, I guess. It's like it's a walking sim. It's got some puzzling to it, which Firewatch didn't really have. Firewatch very much was a walkie-talkie sim. Good, but not a whole lot of gameplay to it. Whereas this looks like it'll have at least a little bit more, some actual puzzling to it. There is a trailer for it now. I tried to play it during Steam Next Fest, but the Steam Deck was not having it. It was like, nope, not playing that. So I still haven't had a chance to play it, but it looks interesting. And it will be out pretty soon. This clock ever fixes itself. Skip ahead. There you go. November 6th, 2023. Cool. Right, get away from YouTube for a little bit. Give it a chance to calm down. Larian drops Series S split screen as solution to bring Baldur's Gate 3 to Xbox this year. So following a sit down with Phil Spencer, and probably Larian went, hey, we're making ridiculous records over on Steam. You sure we can't figure out some way to get the game on Xbox as well? So I guess they had a sit down, and the story has been that we're just not going to do split screen on Series S. So if you're not familiar, possibly with the Divinity games at least, Larian's games are multiplayer in some cases. But they allow for a lot of divergence for the players. Like, you can just go off and do whatever you want. You don't all have to stick together, which is a lot of other games would make you do, or have a limited range for how far you can get away from each other, or it becomes not really possible to play it anymore. Whereas Divinity and Baldur's Gate 3 do allow you to just go play the game yourself. Yeah, you're both in the same game world, but you don't have to stick together if you don't want to. You go off and do whatever you want. Not a good idea. If you get into combat, you're probably dead immediately. Hard games. And they wanted to bring that to Series S, but the issue was that Series S was just not capable of doing it in a way that Larian were okay with, which is why Baldur's Gate 3 wasn't going to be out on Xbox until they could figure out a way to do it. And instead of figuring out a way to do it, they're just not going to. So there won't be split screen multiplayer in the Series S version. Whether there still will be multiplayer, not clear. But I'm guessing there won't be couch multiplayer for Series S. But otherwise, there shouldn't be anything preventing it from being on Series X. So there's no release date or anything. But they're super happy to confirm that after meeting with Phil yesterday, we found a solution that allows us to bring Baldur's Gate 3 to Xbox players this year still. Something we've been working towards for quite some time. So there's at least confident enough they can get it out this year. But probably not in time for the PlayStation release, which is not next week, the week after. Maybe the week after that. September 6th. Anyway, waiting for it. Good. More people get to play it. It's a shame that they can't, have feature parity with the Series S, which was always a thing Xbox said. That Series X would always have feature parity. If you buy a Series S, you don't have to worry that you won't be getting the same features as everybody else. That's not true anymore, at least for this particular game. Phasmophobia's console release delayed to October due to fire incident. So the Phasmophobia early access PlayStation release was supposed to be this month at some point, but has instead been pushed back to October due to a recent fire incident. Due to a recent fire incident in our office building and unprecedented development issues, our ability to test and develop been significantly impacted. From grammatical issues there, but okay, there's been a fire in their office, and that means they can't get it out when they were supposed to. Fine. Delays. I have no particular interest in playing it. I was more interested in playing its VR option just to see what it was like. Okay, can wait. I mean, it's still in early access and will still be in early access when it releases. And considering their release schedule and things that they are releasing, I don't think they have any real intention of ever leaving early access. They're happy to just milk it. See? Anyway. A hands-on report from PlayStation on a PlayStation product. Okay, I'm not sure it really counts as a hands-on report then, but whatever. The PlayStation Project Q, as it used to be known, is now known as PlayStation Portal. This is this tablet with a DualSense slapped on either side of it. This is a product I don't know who it is for. I don't know who this thing is for, because it's not a standalone handheld thing. It needs a PlayStation 5 to work. So this is a remote play device. It will essentially play any game that is on your PS5 already installed. It's not going to stream anything. The game has to already be installed on your console, and it will then beam it to this device. So you still need to be on the same network to get it to work. It's not like you can go, abroad or something and play it, unless you really want to open up your PlayStation to that kind of security issue. As an LCD display, it's not an OLED. It isn't great. I mean, LCD is fine, but it would have been nicer if it was an OLED. The whole thing is a touchscreen because it replaces the touchpad, so obviously it needs to make some concessions there. Additional context: PlayStation Portal was connected to the same local Wi-Fi network, so not across the internet proper. Local Wi-Fi. It's considerably less latency than if you were trying to play this in a different country, kind of thing. A wired Ethernet connection from the PS5 to your wireless router is recommended, so there's a lot of caveats to this thing. Like, who is this for? This isn't something you're going to take on the plane. You're obviously not meant to have an internet connection when you're on the plane, so clearly you can't do that. It's not something you can really take abroad because the lag would be so bad. Like, who is this for? You're just going to play it in your own house. The PlayStation's right there. Just play that. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand this product. This is some sort of weird bridge between, like, what the Switch can do, because the Switch can go from handheld to docked mode. This is the weird attempt to shoehorn that in. It's like another $200 on top of whatever the PlayStation 5 costs now. Like $500, $700, and the Switch is what? $50, $400, something like that? Yeah, it's a much, lower powered device, but still. That's not great. I honestly don't get who this is for. The rest of this article is talking about their audio stuff, but whatever. Anyway. Epic Games I forgot to do last week, so I hope you got those games. Whatever they were. Black Book was one of them, which is actually pretty good. One of the few card games I actually like. Homeworld Deserts of Karak is a prequel to the original Homeworld. It's an RTS thing. Ground-based RTS prequel to the classic Homeworld games. Assemble your fleet and lead them to victory on the shifting sands of Karak in this compelling strategy game for PC from Blackbird Interactive. Free. Knock yourself out. Homeworld 3 was just announced. Maybe you can get a jump on it, or see if you even like those kind of games. I don't. But it's there. It's free until Thursday. Right. Anyway, those are some of the games you could play eventually. But what about some of the games you can play right now? Well, you can play Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon, finally. It's been hyped up to shit, and now you can finally play it if you want to. This is from Software, probably best known at this point for the Dark Souls series, Elden Ring, Sekiro, Bloodborne, etc., etc., etc. But before all of that, they were known for Armored Core. And there has not been an Armored Core game for quite some time at this point. I think the last one was maybe the PS3, that kind of generation. So it's been a while. If you're not familiar with it, you jump into your Armored Core, which is this big mech, outfitted with it can be customly outfitted. The frame can be changed up. You don't have to be a humanoid thing. You can have big tank treads instead if you want. You have a tetrapod, which is like four-legged thing, and so on and so forth. The weapons you can have attached to it are again all customizable. You can go full melee if you really want to. I wouldn't advise it. You'll get killed pretty fast. But yeah, And the idea with the Armored Core games is you kind of take on missions in these big maps. You go out and you just do them. Come back to base, refit your Armored Core for a different scenario if you need to. If that mission didn't go particularly well, you found this new gun that you picked up, want to try that out, or the gun you did try out, it turns out, yeah, it's not great, don't like it, and swap it out to something else, etc., etc. What's interesting, or what I've been seeing from people, is that the game does sort of incentivize you to change up your gear a lot, like to not just go with one thing and see and assume that will carry you through the whole game, because it won't. It's like different scenarios and different enemies somewhat require you to have a different loadout. Like there are some enemies or some bosses that are so fast you can't get by on the tank treads because they're too slow. Like you need like the humanoid two-legged ones, or you need a loadout that has like more jets so you can move even faster, kind of thing. It is interesting that they're going down that route, because a lot of the other, like the Soulsy games, they would almost have their bosses designed so that they could be beaten by anybody, sort of. Asterisk? Question mark? Not quite. I mean, if you went for a ridiculous gimmick build, no. But for the most part, if you just went for like a pretty standard, I'm just going to focus on dex, I'm just going to focus on strength, I'm just going to focus on magic, etc., or jack of all trades kind of thing, yeah, you could probably beat every boss. Some of them would be easier than others, but you could probably beat every boss. Whereas I think in Armored Core 6, it's kind of like there's a subsection of builds that will work on this one boss, and those builds may not work on the next boss. You might need to, think about swapping up your loadout constantly, which is a good way to do it, because that is kind of the whole point of these mech games, is to like constantly be improving your machine and trying out new things, and finding things that work, finding things that don't work, so on. Anyway, that's Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. On. We have Blasphemous 2. So as I mentioned, it did appear during the Future Games show, just to kind of point out that, hey, the game's out now, give it a shot. Blasphemous 2 is sequel, Blasphemous. It's got a lot of Castlevania to it, a lot of Metroid. It's a Metroidvania, but it is pretty gory. It does have these heavy, religious motifs to it. You are the penitent one. You are tasked with taking on these other previous penitent ones that have lost their way, say, and have become, not good. Not good guys. Not that you're a good guy either necessarily, but you're there and you need to take them down. They're bad guys. Hit them really hard with your weapons. There, done. Got the game for you. But they're gonna hit you really hard with their weapons, because the game is actually quite difficult. Anyway, moving on. Showing off you a couple of the bosses there. I don't remember what this is. What is this? Oh yeah, Sprawl. Okay. Sprawl, first-person cyberpunk shootery type thing that Shadow dropped during the Future Games show. So first-person, it has a sort of old-school pixel look to it. It's kind of hard to tell in the trailer. It kind of shows up a little bit more in the game. It's mostly when you get close to textures and stuff like that, they show off that they're actually they have a little bit of a pixel filter. It's a very subtle pixel filter over it, but it does give it that kind of old-schooly type thing. But as you can see, it is very fast-paced. There's very few aim-down sights things going on here. Lots of parkour elements to it. It looks really good. And it is already out. And I do have the demo downloaded. I just want to make sure it all works on Steam Deck and what have you. And we might take a look at it at some point. Bomb Rush. Yes, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is out. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is a spiritual successor, homage, what have you, to Jet Set Radio, which is this kind of cartoony, cel-shaded, futurist type thing. So think like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but not just skating. I mean, you do have your rollerblades. You do have. I don't think you have skateboard. But you have like BMX bike. You do graffiti on things and such and such. You take on different quests for people. You're mostly there for the vibe. It is very much a vibe game of just skating around with really good music in a really colorful environment and, having fun. And some story things are going on in the background. That's not important. This is not important. This is like a police state or something. It's not. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you're just there for the fun. You're there for the fun, the skating, the tricks, the music, the vibe. Good shit. Give it a look. Bomber Cyberpunk. Fort Solace, again, popped up during the Future Game Show to highlight that it was out. This is a narrative story type thing. You are playing somebody, I forget his name. Roger Clark? I was trying to remember the voice actor's name for Arthur Morgan at Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know the character's name, but that's the voice actor at least. And then on the opposite side, your antagonist, question mark, is Troy Baker. Again, don't know who the character is, but you are going to Fort Solace. Some things have happened in Fort Solace. Bad things. Things that shouldn't be happening. You have now stumbled into this situation as sort of just checking on them because they hadn't been heard from for a while. You went in to check on them, and yeah, maybe you shouldn't have done that because now you're in a bad situation with everybody else. It's not clear what the gameplay is. I think it is more of a Quantic Dream type thing, so it might be quick time heavy. It's not clear. You can see there, Roger Clark as Jack Leary. That's a protagonist name, all right. Julia Brown as Jessica Appleton. Troy Baker as Wyatt Taylor. Does that sound like a bad guy name? Yeah? I can see a Wyatt. A Wyatt is a bad guy. Anyway, Fort Solace, the reviews are... It's okay. The reviews are the voice acting is really good, and the gameplay, maybe not so much. Immortals of Avium is this first-person Modern Warfare looking thing. I'm not saying Modern Warfare just because it's a first-person shooter. It's a lot of the cutscenes, the characterization. It just feels very like, we're special forces, hoorah, guys, but we have magic. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. And I'm like, I do want to see if the combat is interesting, but also I don't really dislike that kind of character. Just in general, I don't want to play that kind of character, what have you. But yeah, I am interested to check it out. It is unfortunately €80 right now, which is ridiculous. So until that price comes way the fuck down, we're gonna be waiting a while before we check this one out. But I am interested. I'm just not €80 interested. Anyway, moving on. That's it for it. Yep, that is it for our new games. But now it is unfortunately time to talk about the worst parts of video games. The video game industry. So, Microsoft will sell Activision Blizzard steaming rights. Not steaming. Sell the steaming rights too, I suppose, if they want. I don't know how that works. They're going to sell the streaming rights to Ubisoft in order to get their $69 nice billion deal done. Or almost nice. It's 68.7. So, here's the idea. The CMA, Consumer Market something Authority, I think, of the UK are currently blocking the Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition right now. It is now the only body that is actually blocking it. However, the UK is a big enough market that it would effectively mean the merger couldn't go ahead. You'd have to carve out too many things and lose out on a big enough player in the market that it would just become a big pain in the hole, and nobody wants to do that. So instead, they're trying to figure out a way to get around it. And the issue was the CMA were like, Microsoft, with Game Pass and with a lot of their other things, would effectively have a massive exclusivity over game streaming in the future. The idea is video games will eventually just be streamed. People won't have actual hardware to do these things for them. They'll just stream to their TVs and what have you. I don't think that's going to be happening in the next 30 years at least. It's going to be a while. Internet infrastructure is just not good enough in most countries to handle that. But whatever, that is the idea, and that is what the UK's CMA were angry about. Or not angry about, but they were preventing the deal from going ahead because of that issue. So to get around this, Microsoft said, okay, here's what we'll do. We will sell the streaming rights to these games to Ubisoft, who are a third party, have nothing to do with PlayStation, have nothing to do with us. You know, they are an independent third-party publisher. We will sell the streaming rights to them, and they will be free to license those streaming rights to other platforms. So Ubisoft can, if they want to, license those streaming rights to Valve for Steam, to Nvidia for their Nvidia Shield thing, to PlayStation for PlayStation Plus, and so on and so forth. So it wouldn't be up to Microsoft for that kind of thing. They have already sold those rights. The only thing Ubisoft would have to do is to pay a licensing fee to Microsoft, which would be, minimal, not a whole lot. Or not a whole lot because they'd have sold it as well at the same time, so they'd be getting a big chunk of money, and then the licensing deal back would be, in the wash. Ubisoft make a decent amount of money out of this. Plus, they have the licensing rights down the line that I think they don't need to give back to Microsoft at that point, etc., etc. So the idea is, inside the UK, Ubisoft would have. I need to read that. This might have been a different article which I read from. This change means Microsoft won't control the exclusive rights to stream Activision Blizzard games. Ubisoft will be able to license the games to a range of other cloud gaming subscription services and pay Microsoft for the rights to each title via a one-off payment, and options that supports pricing based on usage. So one-off payment, and then they can license it to whoever they want. Okay, I think it's in a different article. There is something about inside the UK, it's slightly different, but it is still effectively the same thing, which is Ubisoft have the streaming rights as opposed to Microsoft. Which means that's no longer part of the deal. That was your only issue with the deal, so we good? Can we move ahead? And the CMA said, no. The CMA said, this is a massively different deal to the deal you submitted earlier, so we're just going to void that one. And we're going to start over, and we're going to investigate this one and see if we have any problems with this one. Now, they shouldn't, because the only problem they had with it last time was Microsoft's seemingly exclusive streaming rights to these games, or that they could enforce an exclusivity to them. That's no longer an issue. Ubisoft will be doing it, and they are, materially incentivized to license it out to other people because it's just free money for them, effectively. Why wouldn't they do that? It's just not guaranteed. They might find something else. They shouldn't, because why didn't you find it the first time, kind of thing. And plus, Microsoft now have the ability to just push back and say, like the US are fine with it, the EU is fine with it, like every other country on the planet is fine with it. What is your deal, honestly? Pressure them, get the UK government to pressure them, who are actually not particularly happy with the deal, or the UK government are not particularly happy with the CMA's objection to the deal. So, they could be pressured for it, but the point is, it shouldn't actually get that far, because the problem has been fixed. I think this is more of like a regulatory procedures thing, and that the deal has materially changed, so we can't sign off on the same deal again because it has changed so much, so we need to do it again, etc., etc., etc. Make sure I get paid. Make sure I get my salary paid for the next couple of months. Anyway, so that deal's probably going to go through. It's just a really strange... It's strange they chose Ubisoft, I suppose, as opposed to any other publisher, I guess. EA, I suppose, is really their only other option. Maybe they don't like EA. Take-Two. I suppose if you were given the option between EA, Take-Two, or Ubisoft, yeah. I suppose I would go with Ubisoft in that case. Not that I particularly like them, but if you gotta pick one, not gonna be fucking Take-Two, and I don't really like EA, so yeah. Anyway, moving on. Okay, Dragon Age Dreadwolf keeps getting delayed, report claims. So this is kind of a combination of different news items that came out about BioWare specifically this week. So in the wake of Baldur's Gate 3 doing ridiculous numbers on Steam, the original developers of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, BioWare, don't think they were known as BioWare at the time, but they are responsible for those two games, decided to fire a bunch of people. Yeah, that's what you do. You got this game that is very, very similar to your next game, Dragon Age Dreadwolf, that's actually been likened to some of your previous games, like Dragon Age Origins, and is literally a sequel to some of your earliest games, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. What are you going to do? Fire a bunch of people. Okay. And not only are you going to fire a bunch of people, you're going to fire your writers. That's not good. That doesn't make it sound that Dragon Age is long for this world, does it? Following the news that BioWare is making a new round of layoffs, they are cutting approximately 50 roles as part of a shift towards becoming a more agile and more focused studio. Now, that's like on the surface of it, that's just a management problem. You wouldn't need this agility and focus if you had manage your people better. Really suggests those 50 roles should probably be middle management who should be going, but no, of course it isn't. It's not going to be. Anyway, Dragon Age Dreadwolf has been considered for September of this year. It was pushed back to March. It's now been pushed back to even later than that, summer maybe at some point, and then it's highly doubtful it's actually going to make that date either. So we're probably talking 2025 at some point. EA said in March that the Mass Effect team had been drafted in to assist with Dragon Age Dreadwolf development. So if you are already pulling people off other teams to help in development of this game, that would suggest you don't have enough people. Right? If you have to pull people off a team to help, instead of being okay with the team you have, that would suggest you don't have enough people. So clearly what you should do is fire people to have even fewer people to work on your games. That's what they did. Or at least that's what their plan is. The approximately 50 roles have not been cut yet, but they are going to be. So even after the job cuts, more of the Mass Effect team will be reallocated to Dragon Age, resulting in an even longer wait for Mass Effect. So we're gonna fire people and then realize we have even fewer people than we had before to pull even more people off the Mass Effect team to work on Dreadwolf. What are you doing? What is the plan here? Are you just trying to get Dreadwolf done and dusted and forget about the series entirely? Because that sounds like exactly what they're doing. Because they fired their writers as well. Writers who've been working on the Dragon Age series since it began. These are people who would have very good knowledge of the lore, of the world, of the systems, and so on. You just got rid of them before the game is even out. A game that's supposed to resurrect the series. Because Inquisition didn't do great. It's also been a long time since Inquisition. What are you doing? And then you're delaying Mass Effect even further. Like, what games does BioWare have going for it at this point? Like, Anthem was a massive flop. Dragon Age Inquisition didn't quite kill Dragon Age, but it almost did. Mass Effect Andromeda did kill Mass Effect. Mass Effect Andromeda it's okay. It's a fine game. Fun. It's not a good Mass Effect game, but it's a good game. Similarly with Inquisition, if it didn't have the name Dragon Age attached to it, it would have been fine. Mass Effect Andromeda, if it didn't have the Mass Effect name attached to it, it would have been fine. But they decided to lump them in with those franchises with very good RPGs. The Mass Effect series is excellent. The Dragon Age series, less so. Dragon Age 2 isn't great either. Dragon Age Origins is the only good one, really. Inquisition is fine. Again, as I said, it's a bit too big. It's too big, and it got rid of too many of the RPG elements. It became too actiony. IMO, it strayed too far away from what clearly people wanted, because Baldur's Gate 3 is a turn-based RPG. It could not be any further RPG if it tried, and people are loving it. That's what they wanted. They did not want pseudo-action, turn-based tactical stuff, which is what Inquisition was doing. Anyway, the point is, they're firing people even though they clearly don't have enough people to go around for both teams, and then they're going to shrink another team even further to make up for the people they just fired. Okay. I don't think we're going to get another Mass Effect game, because I don't think BioWare will survive Dreadwolf. I think it will be shuttered once it's released, which is a huge shame. Anyway, moving on. Okay, in sad but somewhat, I don't know, melancholy news, Charles Martinet stepping down as the voice of Mario. So Charles Martinet has played Mario since Mario 64, but he will no longer record character voices for its games. With this transition, he will be stepping back from recording character voices for our games, but he'll continue to travel the world, sharing the joy of Mario and interacting with you all. So he'll effectively become like company ambassador, or ambassador for Mario games specifically. He wasn't just Mario that he voiced, though. He voiced pretty much all of the male characters in Mario. Luigi, Wario, Waluigi. Not Toad, although Toad's a mushroom, so does he even have gender? I mean, there's a Toadette, sure, but that really shouldn't. They're mushrooms. Like, how do they have any? Don't even think about these things anymore. It's like Smurfs. There's a Smurfette for some reason, but nobody really talks about it. Anyway, he's been the voice of Mario since Super Mario 64 in 1996, although technically I think he did a voice for Mario earlier than that, but it came out later or something. Anyway, like the first recording I think predates Super Mario 64, but the actual time players heard him was Super Mario 64. Anyway, there was questions on whether or not it was Charles Martinet's voice in Super Mario Brothers Wonder trailer that had come out. Some people had suggested that it's not. It doesn't sound like him. And it has in fact been confirmed that it is not his voice. Charles Martinet's voice will not be used in the upcoming Super Mario Brothers Wonder. So it's possible the last time you'll have heard his voice is Super Mario Odyssey. Now, Nintendo still have a vast library of voices of recordings that he has done that have not been used or that could be reused in other in other series or other games. So he's not going to be recording any more voices, but that doesn't mean you won't hear him again. Basically, is what I'm saying. He might show up in Super Mario Bros. RPG. He might be in that, or the sequels to that, or later Super Mario games. If they do like a Sonic Generations thing, they decide to do a Super Mario Generations thing. His voice might show up, etc., etc. Anyway, moving on. Alright, so some stuff from the community. Armored Core 6 has not even been out that long, and CJ from Grand Theft Auto is already. Because of course. because of course he is. Why not? You just cannot stop the modding scene. CJ has to be involved in absolutely everything. Oh shit. Here we go again. So on. Right. We'll leave. Speaking of Armored Core, we'll leave Armored Core to play in the background. Because I think I have it set to repeat. Makes it easier. Right, so that was your news for the 21st to the 27th of August 2023. We had a quick look at Gamescom, opening night live. Nothing major. Little Nightmares 3, I think, was the only new game announced there. Otherwise, a lot of games that we already knew about, showing off a bit more of Alan Wake 2 at the end. I'm struggling to think of anything that was not worthwhile, but it was something that we hadn't heard about before. Future Game Show had kind of a few more games that people hadn't heard about. Some of them were shadow dropped onto Steam. We had Stop Dead, which is a speedrunning game that if you stop, you die. We had Sprawl, which is a really cool first-person cyberpunk looking thing. Tormented Souls 2 was announced, though not a whole lot of gameplay around that, although I can't imagine it will play hugely different to the original Tormented Souls. Some VR titles shown off as well that seemed interesting. This is why I need to make notes. Because now I need to remember what I said like an hour ago. Anyway, some other news outside of Gamescom, or during Gamescom, or something, outside of the shows at least. Broken Sword 6 has been announced, Parzival's Stone. It has something to do with the Grail, but not that Grail, a different Grail. As well as Broken Sword, Shadows of the Templar is getting a remaster. It is using an AI upscaler, which I'm not happy about. Kind of wish you'd have an actual artist work on these things. AI upscalers are okay for some things, but they're not great when it comes to anything that involves text, basically. They kind of fuck that up. I'll see how it turns out, but I would have rathered an actual artist working on these things rather than it be made at all. But there's always the mod scene. They can always fix it for you. Which is the unfortunate way a lot of developers look at things. Night Dive Studios are making a Dark Forces remaster. Other things that I can't remember now. Anyway, I don't remember. Larian Studios will get Baldur's Gate 3 out onto Xbox, hopefully this year, but they are getting rid of the split screen for Series S. Phasmophobia has been delayed. Something else. RoboCop has been delayed. Replaced, which actually I didn't talk about, but the Replaced game also been delayed into next year. There's been a good few delays. Just because so many things are coming out at the end of the year, I wouldn't want to release my game now. There's just so many. There's just so many games coming out just in October. Well, it's almost every day has a new game coming out. Or new big game. I mean, every day there's a new game coming out. Just look at Steam. It's all sorts of things. popping out. None of them are good necessarily, but there's always something new. Um, but yeah, October seems to be just chock a block of very good games, all coming out within a day, 2 days of each other. It's a bit nuts. I would not want to release anything right now. New releases. We're looking at Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. On top of that, there's Bomber Cyberpunk, Immortals of Avium, Fort Solace, Blasphemous 2, Brawl. Talked about in the feature game show. Microsoft are selling the streaming rights to Ubisoft to try to get around the CMA's block on the Microsoft Activision acquisition. BioWare are being very strange in their Dreadwolf development by firing people when they clearly don't have enough people to work on the game in the first place, but now they're gonna keep going with that, having even fewer people to work on it, which means they're gonna have to pull people off Mass Effect. I don't know what they're doing. It does not make sense. Anyway, that is your news for this week, but what is going on the channel this week? So, I can pull up our roadmap. There's somewhere roadmap. I will find you. There you are. Okay, so this is our roadmap for the second half of 2023. It's starting to come into like the last quarter of 2023 pretty soon. Anyway, reminder for people: green means it's already been featured on the channel. Yellow means it is currently being featured on the channel. Gray means it is going to be featured on the channel soon. The wedge in the top left corner means it's a full Let's Play if that does happen. And if there's no symbol on it whatsoever, it's, I don't know, eventually it'll show up on the channel at some point. So some things currently being played: Final Fantasy 16, Ghost Trick, Monster Hunter, It Takes Two with Melwyn cooperatively. Some things that have been finished: Final Fantasy, the original, has been finished. Played through The Sinking City as part of Foley Fables. The last game we played as part of Foley Plays Games a Bit was Hi-Fi Rush. It's a musical, a brawler type thing, which I like quite a lot, but I clearly have no rhythm. So that didn't go out too well. Anyway, so next week, coming up, the week coming up, on Wednesday, we will be continuing playing through Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. We played another part of it yesterday. Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, why aren't you going full screen? Why do you do this to me? Okay, now, no. Right? Okay. So, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is from the same creator who made Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. It very much has that kind of comedic, cartoony vibe to it. It's all sort of zany shenanigans, very fun characters, over-the-top stuff. You play this guy who is dead, and you haven't quite passed on yet. But you are able to possess inanimate objects and trick them, which means just make them do things. So you jump into a phone, you can ring the phone. If you jump onto a switch, you can flip it. If you jump onto like a crane, you can swivel it around and stuff like that. And you use all of this to just create shenanigans and Rube Goldberg machines to sort of help people not die. Because you would rather that not happen. You want to keep them around a little bit longer to try to figure out why you are dead, and so on and so forth. So we're not quite halfway, but we're very close to halfway through Ghost Trick. So check out some more of that on Wednesday. On Thursday, continue with Final Fantasy 16. So we are pretty much where we were last week because I didn't get to play it this week. Again, very new game. I don't want to tell anybody where exactly we are, but we are... How to tell people where we are without telling people? This is a good question. We have 4 icons. In between 4 and 5. Okay, maybe that will help people know where we are. On top of that, we have finished the original Final Fantasy, which means there's a gap in the schedule. So I'm going to go back to our Resident Evil series. So if you're newish enough to the channel, we have been doing a series playthrough of Resident Evil and Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is a bit of a newer one. We've only really just started that. We finished the first entry And I'm gonna look to just split it up so that we're not just doing Final Fantasy constantly. I don't want to be the Final Fantasy guy. So we're gonna split that up with Resident Evil. Resident Evil, we're like a third of the way through the series, so we've played the original 2, the remake of 2, the original 4, remake of 4. So now we're gonna play Resident Evil 3, Nemesis, the original. Now I did a lot of that mostly I did it in that order so that we would be able to play Resident Evil 4 remake when it came out. But I am gonna go back to the original plan, which was to play them in release order. So we're gonna do Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, then Final Fantasy 2, then Code Veronica, Final Fantasy 3. Then I don't know, because Resident Evil 5 is kind of long at that point. So we'll see. And then Resident Evil 6 is very long, so we'll definitely have to see at that point. But yes, that is the plan. Nemesis will be the next old as fuck game that we'll play. But that does also leave room this week for a Fully Plays Games a Bit game. So the Fully Plays Games a Bit series. Hey, how's it going? Hey, Coop. Fully Plays Games a Bit series is where we play newly released titles for 2 or 3 hours or so, just to get an impressions on it. So this is our shortlist for it. Sorry, Heiku, this is I won't be able to do that for you. If you drop me a link, though, I might be able to get it into the next video. So this is what we're going to be doing for this game list. So currently, After Image is sitting on a +4. After Us and Atlas Fallen are sitting on a +3. Spirit and the Mouse and Crime O'Clock are sitting on a +2. Viewfinder and My Friendly Neighborhood are sitting on a +1. And I've just added Bomber, Cyberpunk, and Sprawl. So they're on a flat score. So we're going to check to see what game we'll be playing next in that series. So we are sitting on how many games? 9 games, which means 10 spins to make it fair. So, get your prediction in. What's going to be up next? Okay. After Us has gotten another +1, so that's tied. Okay, spin 3. Randomize them a little. Spin 4. Okay. Spin 5.
Report to the ship as soon as possible. We're bang, okay?
Thanks for the follow. I see your link there too. I'll give it a look and we might get it in the next video. Spin 7. Okay. Sprawl is getting a lot of looks here. Spin 8. Spin 9. Spin 10, and that's all of them. That's my name. I am Foley, or Jim Train 5. Either or. So, what is on top now? I kind of lost track of what we were doing. That's wrong. Ah, fuck, I just clicked done, didn't I? I didn't click +1s on those. Alright, we gotta do it again. Fuck. Alright, start again. God damn it. Then do this fast. Okay. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. Get up to 10. 7. 8. Viewfinder finally got in on the action. 9, and the last one. 10. All right. Bomber Cyberpunk didn't get any. Okay, now score-wise. All right, After Image still running away with it. +7. Yeah, kind of ran away with the. Should probably look back at the the other list to see if one of them should have maybe leapfrogged it a little bit. But anyway, After Image will be the next game we play as part of Foley Plays Games a Bit. After Image is a side-scrolling anime Metroidvania type thing. Yeah, so we'll check that out on Friday. So means our schedule is looking like so. Just put that in here. Go to my list of games, slot After Image in there. Luckily it's in A, so that falls in nicely. So Tuesday there won't be a stream. I'm going to be doing some multiplayer stuff with a friend of mine, so we're going to be doing that. Wednesday we'll be continuing Foley Fables, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. Thursday continuing Final Fantasy 16 playthrough. Friday Foley Plays Games a Bit. We're going to take a look at After Image, and then Saturday I'm not sure if Melwyn is around. If she is, we will play It Takes Two co-op, and if she's not, I will put in Nemesis there instead. Right, that's that for this week. Thanks Heiyaku for the follow and dropping that link there. I'll take a look at that, as well as anybody else who might have been lurking in the background. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want to catch up on any of those games I mentioned, the previous entries, or any of the other games I've played, or any of the news articles and stuff we have read, you can find all of that over on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/doomtrain5. That's where I keep all the VODs. There's easily 1,000 videos there at this point. Otherwise, possibly catch you guys later. I think I might do another stream today. I haven't decided yet. Yeah, keep an eye out on your notifications, I guess. If I don't know. I'll see you on Wednesday instead for Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. Right. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Thank you.